Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about a recent news where the government of India has decided to rename the capital city of Andaman Nicobar Island, that is Port Blair, as Sri Vijaya Puram. So in this video, we will try to understand that what is the history behind the name of the Port Blair and why the decision has been taken to change it to Sri Vijaya Puram and how all this is related to the Chola Empire that used to rule in the southern part of India. So first of all, to give you a brief background of the development that has happened here, the Port Blair, the capital city of the Andaman and Nicobar Island, which is the island group situated in the Bay of Bengal, and in this regard, Union Home Minister Sri Amit Shah has made a statement that it will now be known as Sri Vijaya Puram. Adding in the same, he has added the reason behind taking of such decision is basically it basically is inspired by the vision of the Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi, who wanted to free the nation from the colonial imprints. So the name of the cities which were given during the colonial time or which used to be on the name of colonial we can say officers and all that is now going to be changed, something that is linked directly to the history of India. Now, while the earlier name had a colonial legacy, Sri Vijaya Puram, it symbolizes the victory that was achieved in our freedom struggle and the Andaman Nicobar Islands unique role that it has played for the same. Now, first of all, before going to details about this, let us try to understand the geographical location of all these areas. So, as we know that India has two major groups of islands, one in the Arabian Sea that is called as Lakshadweep and one in the Bay of Bengal that is called as Andaman and Nicobar. Now, Andaman and Nicobar themselves are separated into two different group of islands, Andaman in the north and Nicobar group in the south. The Port Blair, which is the capital of Andaman Nicobar Island, is situated in the Andaman group of island and more precisely it is part of the lower Andaman Islands. Andaman group is overall divided into four groups. First is the North Andaman in the north, then we have the Middle Andaman, then we have the Lower Andaman and then we have the Little Andaman separated by water bodies water body that you can see from here, which is called as Duncan Passage. Then further you have another water body here that is called as 10-degree channel. So 10-degree channel is basically separating the Nicobar group from the Andaman group and the Duncan Passage separates the Lower Andaman from the Little Andaman. Now it is in the Lower Andaman, as you can see, is the capital city. Now moving further, if we try to understand about the region, why the city or why the island was called as Port Blair till now, what is the history behind this name? So the city of Port Blair is basically considered also as the entry point of Andaman and Nicobar Island. In this regard, the Archibald Blair, who was a naval surveyor as well as a lieutenant in the Bombay Marine, he is believed to be the first officer who has carried out a thorough survey of the entire Andaman Islands. And to honor him, it is referred as the Port Blair, where the name Blair has been taken from the Archibald Blair and port obviously because there used to be a port where the ships used to dock. Now, if we talk about the Archibald Blair himself, whose photograph you can see here, he joined the Bombay Marine somewhere in the 1771. That means it is that time when the British are just trying to enter into the Indian territory and also are trying to strengthen their foothold. Till now you have the Battle of Plassey that already has been fought. Now Blair set out on a survey mission along the coasts of India, then further Iran in the Arabian Sea and further to the Arabian coast in the following year. However, when he carried out the survey in the ships that is called as Elizabeth and Viper, and the survey was carried by him somewhere in the month of December 1778. As a result of this, in the month of April 1779, which obviously is 1 year and it took him around the west coast of Ireland, thereby sailing north along the eastern coast, he reached the natural harbour which he initially named as Port Cornwallis. After the commander William Cornwallis was a commander-in-chief of the British Indian Army and also later on went to become the Governor General of India, or that time you can say Viceroy of India. Now, the name Port Cornwallis was further changed to honor Archibald Blair and that is why the port is known as the Port Blair. Soon after, the EIC, that is the East Indian Company, they have decided to colonize the island mainly to establish a safe harbour from which it could check the activities of the Malay pirates. Now, Malay is a region that currently covers the peninsula of Malaysia, Thailand and the Singapore region. So piracy was very common those days, and before pirates could attack the Indian coast, they will have to come through the Andaman Nicobar island, and that is why the island was considered as a kind of safe harbor. Now, if you look at the use of the island once British colonized it, and we know that in 1857 we have a big revolt that also called as Sepoy Mutiny, or began with Sepoy Mutiny. It resulted in a large number of prisoners the British arrested. These prisoners had to be put somewhere, and that is why they decided that the better to put this prisoner in the Port Blair and make the entire island as kind of penal colony. And this required a lot of renovation as well as resettlement in this island. Most of the convicts who went to the Port Blair received life imprisonment and remained there for a very long period of time. Now, with the strengthening of the Indian independence movement, as we know, that especially began after the coming of Mahatma Gandhi in India, in the late 19th century, a huge cellular jail was established by 1906, and popularly the cellular jail, which used to host large number of freedom fighters, is popularly known as Kala Pani, and it was this Kala Pani, the cellular jail in Andaman Nicobar, or more precisely the Port Blair, which also hosted Veer Damodar Savarkar for a quite long period of time. Now, if we look at the connection, what is the connection with the imperial Cholas? So, first of all, historical records, if you look at of the Andaman Islands, it suggests that Andaman Nicobar Islands during the Chola time, especially during the time of the Chola Emperor Rajendra I, in somewhere in the 11th century, was used as a strategic naval base. Now, it is this strategic naval base which, as per the Tanjavur inscription published in or carved out in 1050 CE, the Chola referred this island as Ma Nakkavaram Island. Ma Nakkavaram Island basically refers to great open or naked land, which possibly led to the modern name of Nicobar. From the Nakkavaram, you have Nicobar under the British rule. That is how the anglicization of name has basically happened. So, as noted by historian, the Chola invasion which they carried out on Sri Vijaya. Sri Vijaya is basically another small island in the present day Indonesia. So, Port Blair was used as a vantage point or as a strategic point. So, Chola invaded Sri Vijaya, and this also is considered as a very unique event, because talk about the history of India, it's otherwise, especially the Chola kingdoms, they have otherwise very peaceful relations with the states of Southeast Asia. So, this kind of attack is something that is very unique event. So, if you try to understand that why Sri Vijaya Puram, so Rajendra Chola has carried out an attack on the Sri Vijaya island, which is in present day Indonesia, and several scholars have speculated what might be the reason behind such an attack. Many noted historians agree that this might be a reason, this might be on the part of a desire that Rajendra I might have to expand his Digvijay, that means eternal kingdom, to the countries across the sea, so well known to his subjects home, and add luster to his crown. Also, many historians suggest it also might be driven by the fact that Sri Vijaya might be hampering with establishment of trade relations of Chola Empire with other South Asian nations, and that is why the Chola had to attack them. However, if you look at the American historian G.W. Spencer's view, he believed that Sri Vijaya expedition should be considered as a part of the Chola expansionism, which had been ongoing for decades, culminating in wars with other empires also, such as wars with the other South Indian empires as well as even in Sri Lanka. So, this is how we can trace back the history. So, Sri Vijaya island that was attacked, and as Chola became victorious, you can say the Sri Vijaya Puram. So, that is how the Port Blair has been named as Sri Vijaya Puram. Now, this is not the first instant in Andaman Nicobar where the old name of island has changed. During the tenure of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, several other islands of the Andaman Nicobar, their name has been changed. For example, if you talk about Havelock Island, which is a very well known tourist destination in Andaman Nicobar Island, the Havelock Island's name has been changed to the Swaraj Deep Island. Similarly, we talk about the Neil Island, another well known island in the same lower Andaman region. So, the Neil Island's name has been changed as Shahid Dweep. Similarly, if you look at the Ross Island, its name has been changed to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Dweep, and most recently the Port Blair, the capital city itself, as we are discussing, its name has been changed as Sri Vijaya Puram. So, this is basically an attempt to shed the colonial legacy that we had inherited during the British time or from the British time. So, that is all about this particular video. I hope you understood the reason behind the naming of the Port Blair as Sri Vijaya Puram and how this all is linked to the British history as well as the medieval history of India, especially with the Chola Empire. Thank you very much.